Welcome back, Capital F football fans, to the O&O Sports YouTube channel. Today, we are looking at the first home playoff game in college football history. It's Indiana at Notre Dame. The 12-team format is officially in full swing. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, starting with the tail of the tape. For Indiana, they are 11-1 overall, 8-1 in the Big Ten. Their best wins this year have been Michigan, Washington, and Nebraska. They're 41st in total offense, 3rd in total defense with a strength of schedule of 42nd. And in the college football playoff ranking, they are ranked 8th. And Todd, our good buddy, has them ranked 6th. Indiana is an amazing football team this year. They have a lot going right for them offensively and defensively. Curtis Rourke mainly, their wideouts, their defense. You can see 3rd in overall defense. Great year for them. And for Notre Dame, they are also 11-1 overall, and they have no conference record because they're not in a conference, of course. Best wins this year, Texas A&M, Army, and Navy, with those Army and Navy games both being blowouts. Their total offense is ranked 35th, a little bit above Indiana. Total defense at 7th, a little bit below Indiana. And their strength of schedule is 21st, a lot higher than Indiana's. The college football playoff ranking has them at 5th overall, and Todd has them at 4th. Also a very good team, kind of one-dimensional. We'll get more into that in a second. Great team overall, offense and defense very efficient. That's why they're ranked so highly in the college football playoff ranking. Some people might not be fans of that because of that Northern Illinois game. That's fair, but I mean, 11-1 does speak for itself. And with that, let's jump into the players to watch in this one. For Indiana, it's going to be quarterback Curtis Rourke, like we talked about a second ago. He has been one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He got multiple Heisman votes this year. That should tell you enough. He's the real deal, definitively a top 2 quarterback in that conference, maybe top 1, depending on how much you like Will Howard, but I digress. His stats this year are remarkable. 70.4% completion percentage, over 2,800 pass yards, 27 touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions with a 181.4 passer efficiency rating. That is the top of the conference. I believe that's somewhere at the top of the country as well. Very efficient passer. He's been amazing for Indiana this year. And defensively, it's going to be the defensive lineman, Michael Kamara. He has been a true difference maker on that defensive front. He's logged 19 tackles, 15 tackles for loss, 10 sacks, a pass defense, 2 forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recoveries. He's wreaked havoc on backfields this year, and Notre Dame is going to need to contain him if they want to win this one. And speaking of Notre Dame, for the Fighting Irish, their offensive player to watch is going to be the quarterback Riley Leonard. He's been one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the country this season, and that's because his pure passing stats haven't been the greatest. But let's go ahead and look at his full stat line. 66% completion percentage for over 2,000 yards, 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and a 140.8 passer efficiency rating. Not bad, but not elite numbers. But now let's look at the rushing stats. 124 carries, 721 yards, 5.8 yards per carry, and 14 additional touchdowns to put him at 30 total touchdowns on the season. Incredible season for him as a runner and a passer. The rushing trio between him, Jeremiah Love, and Jadarian Prince has been very, very effective this year. That offense has been working at its best all season long when they are able to run the ball efficiently, and that's also in large part thanks to that defense. And for your defensive player to watch for Notre Dame, it's going to be the safety Xavier Watts, the 2023 Nagurski Award winner. He had very similar stats from that 2023 season this year, maybe even a little bit better. He had 30 tackles, a tackle for loss, 5 interceptions, a touchdown, 9 pass defenses, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. He's been a true ball hawking safety again this year. Truly one of the best players in the sport overall, and a huge proponent of that Notre Dame defense, and will play a huge factor in this game because of exactly how that Indiana offense operates. Speaking of, let's jump into our keys to victory for this one. For Indiana, it's going to be wearing out Notre Dame on the outside. This Indiana offense has been at its best when Rourke is able to work the edges with his two primary receivers, Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper. And if you can open up this stout Notre Dame defense with a couple passes to the sticks, a couple underneath routes that go for big yards, and a couple deep shots, you open up the run game as well, which is the second point for Indiana here. They've had a two-pronged rushing attack this year with Justice Ellison and Tyshawn Lawton, two relatively effective backs. Ellison averages 5.5 yards per carry with 10 touchdowns on the year. He's been the open field back for them, been a lot more explosive and has a knack at getting to the second level, getting those chunk yards, whereas Lawton averages 4.8 yards per rush, still relatively efficient with 12 touchdowns this season. He's been that power goal line north-south back that has helped them finish drives, a very dynamic rushing attack overall. But the biggest key for Indiana, in our opinion, will be stopping or at least containing the Notre Dame rushing attack. That rushing attack has been arguably the most efficient rush offense in the sport this year. They only run the ball about 55% of the time, not that much, around 40th in the country in terms of pure play calling percentage, but they average 6.3 yards per rush, which is more than Boise State, with what should have been, in our opinion, the Heisman winner Ashton Jeanty, Navy and Army, who both barely even pass the ball as it is, Kansas State, Jacksonville State, Liberty, a lot of those run-heavy teams, uber run-heavy teams, despite being relatively balanced this year. And if Indiana wants to have a chance in this one, they cannot allow them to rush for 250, 300, 400 yards here. That just can't happen. And with that, let's look at Notre Dame's keys to victory in this one. Obviously, the first key to victory here will be that rushing attack. Need we say more? They've been very effective. Indiana has struggled at times against run-heavy offenses like Michigan, Ohio State, and they haven't seen anything quite like this rush offense all year, but we've already talked about that unit enough. So let's talk about Riley Leonard. A good portion of this matchup will be decided by how well Riley Leonard performs. They've been able to win games without him having strong performances, but Indiana is going to be one of, if not the best defense Notre Dame has seen this year, and it would be uncharacteristic for him. But if he were to have 2 or 3 turnovers in this one and give Indiana a short field multiple times, I would not be surprised at all if Indiana pulls this one out. But that Notre Dame secondary is going to have something to say about that. They're going to be our third key to victory for Notre Dame. They've been great all season long. They've allowed the lowest opponent completion percentage in the country, the lowest opponent passer rating per game in the country, and their top 5 in interceptions per game. Absolutely elite numbers there, and they're going to have to work against a very effective and efficient Indiana pass offense. It's really an unstoppable force meets immovable object scenario, and we are super excited to see what exactly happens in this one. And with all of that out of the way, let's jump into our prediction for this game. We're actually going to give 2 separate predictions in this game and from here on out, and that may seem a little cheap, but that's only because me and Todd do disagree on outcomes from time to time. So I want to distinguish between his objective robot facts and my simple human opinion. And the big difference between those two in this one is that Todd thinks Indiana is a lot better than I personally do, than most do probably. I think they're a very solid team, but I just think they're heavily outmatched here. Todd is going to give this one to Notre Dame 31-28 in a close battle, but I've seen Notre Dame play in these kinds of games all year, and I know when they think it's going to be a close game, it usually ends in Notre Dame blowout victory, and I think that's going to be closer to what it actually is here. We're predicting Notre Dame to win this one 35-20. I think the margin of victory will be a bit better for Notre Dame than Todd does, but we both have Notre Dame winning the first ever home playoff game, the first ever 12-team playoff game to kick off the 2024 postseason. We are in a new era, folks, so stay tuned for more news and analysis on the way. And as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy it. Be sure to follow us on our social medias before Christmas to get a chance at $100 free money, folks. Take advantage of it, and we will see you in the next one.